Hi, my name is Fady Ghobrial, and my senior project question was, how can I raise money for the Coptic people of Egypt by sharing the culture? The contents of this presentation is the inspiration, the process, the results, and the reflection. Inspiration. Why I chose this project. This idea came to me when I was visiting Egypt in 2024, when I visited multiple monasteries and a lot of holy sites. One of them was the church in Makata Mountain. It was the largest church in the Middle East and was a result of a very holy and very powerful miracle. Another reason was the Coptic struggle today, where many Coptic people struggle with persecution and struggle to what is it? I'm sorry. They mainly struggle with persecution today, and another reason was that many people are confused about Christians in the Middle East and typically think everyone there is a Muslim. Background: Copts are the ethno-religious group in Egypt, one of the oldest Christian denominations in Egypt, starting in the 1st century. They have a history of persecution and resilience and still face challenges today. And that picture right there is of a bombing inside of a church. For the 4 C's, for communication, I had to convey the culture and history of the Coptic people. Collaboration, I have to work with my church and plan to carry out my project. For critical thinking, I was able to pivot and adapt to different ideas when challenges arose. And for character, this project shares the culture and history of Copts and brings awareness to them. The process. My mentor is Father Samuel Hanna. He is the hegumen, or the head priest of my church. He has been in the service for over 10 years now, and he was the first option for me as my mentor. The plan, the setting was going to happen. It was going to take place at my church. The contents was going to be history, language, art, and sacred objects. The intention was to serve my people back in Egypt with this opportunity I was given. Timeline: October to November. I got the idea of the project. I began researching and discussing possibilities for this project to occur. December and January, I continued with more research and creating concepts of the event. And then in February to March, I had a full plan of the event and posters created. I reached out to volunteers at my church, and I booked it for March 28th. The organization I am working with was Koinonia Ventures. This is a nonprofit organization. This was created by the bishop of our diocese, the New York and New England Coptic Orthodox Diocese. It is created to help Copts in Egypt. And what the organization does is it gives these microloans to Coptic entrepreneurs, and helps them start their businesses and essentially be able to make a living. The history of the Coptic people: the arrival of Christianity in Egypt, which started with Saint Mark the Evangelist, our first pope. And then the era of martyrs, which occurred from 249 AD to 313 AD, which is when the Roman Empire began persecuting all the Christians. The rise of monasticism, which started at 313 AD, and essentially was pioneered by Saint Anthony the Great, and it is when Copts began living a monastic life, building monasteries, and preserving church history in monasteries. And then into Islamic rule, which is when Arab conquerors in around 7th century AD came into Egypt and started spreading Islam and began to persecute and oppress Coptic Christians, and then Christianity in the modern day, where persecution is still happening, and many of the Christians, and one of the major examples is the 21 martyrs of Libya. The language, then next is the language, the roots of Coptic coming from ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, and it now being an extinct language, not used for daily purposes, and is currently used in liturgical services. Iconography, it is the art style of our paintings. It is how we draw our saints, typically with like darker like colors, big eyes, and a long nose. It typically symbolizes it typically shows like the saint with like current. Sorry, it currently shows the saint whether it is at their success, like at the height of their success, or at their lowest moments, to symbolize their strengths and resilience. In usage cases, it is what we venerate them, which is not praise. It is when what is it?
Deep breath and move on.
Yeah. So the usage case, it is veneration. When we respect them, it's not praising. It's when we ask them to essentially deliver a message for us to Christ, and it is us respecting their contributions to the Coptic Church. And then Neo-Coptic icons, which are just newer style of icons in the modern day. Sacred objects are relics, which are remains of the saints. We cherish them and we bless them with a holy oil. And then liturgical objects, which are like these, which we use in our services with that is our chalice that holds the blood of Christ, and that is the tomb. We call it the tomb. It holds the body or the bread of Christ. And then the tradition and use cases of all of our objects when we use them, and like their symbolisms. Advertising the event, I created posters. I emailed Mr. Nash to have it in our newsletter, and I emailed Mr. Carter to have it in the Millis Library TVs. The results, the event contents, there you could see me presenting the history. Then language was done by Irini and someone from my church named Sofia Rizzolla, and then the relics and liturgical objects done by my brother, and iconography done by Irini and Sophie. And then in the middle is the tour of our church. You could see my brother giving them a tour of the Holy Sanctuary. Here are some more pictures. There's my brother Mark giving a tour. Irini and Sophie presenting their iconography slide. me with history, and Mark also with his relic slide. And then here's all of us in the middle. The event turnout, a little amount of people showed up, which was a little disappointing, but I also expected it, and I was happy to surpass at least $100, which we had made about $110, and now reflection. What went well? Slideshow presentations, the tour, raising the money, and I was fine, and I was happy with the turnout. It was way more than I expected, but not as much as I initially when I first started the project. What could have gone better? A larger turnout, obviously, and more volunteers. I had to downsize the whole project due to lack of volunteers and expecting a lower turnout. Challenges, convincing people to volunteer and having to downsize my entire project. About a week before, I was calling my mentor to discuss what we could do for the project having to be way smaller for the amount of volunteers that we had and with the expected turnout that we were going to have. Acknowledgements, Father Samuel, who helped me all along the way, Mina Botros, who helped me plan the event, my mom and dad, who were always there, Irina Anthony, who helped present on the day, as well as Sofia Rizzola, and my brother, who has also helped. My sources, and any questions?